President Trump's war on drugs in the Caribbean, a campaign that has led to a war of words with a top South American ally. The United States and Colombia are back on speaking terms tonight, but this is after an escalating feud between President Trump and the Colombian President Gustavo Petro. Petro met with the top U.S. diplomat and had a, quote, long and frank and constructive conversation on getting relations back on track. Both sides committed to improving their fight against drugs. Colombia has historically been one of America's top allies in Latin America, but according to the State Department, it is also the source for 97% of the cocaine in the United States. President Trump has been trying to change that with his bombing campaign against alleged drug cartel boats off the coast of Venezuela. He has conducted 7 strikes against alleged Colombian and Venezuelan traffickers since early September. Colombia's president accused Trump of committing murder in the strikes. In one of those strikes in mid-September, he says killed an innocent fisherman. Trump responded by calling him an illegal drug leader.
They refine the drugs and they make tremendous amounts of cocaine and they send it all over the world and they destroy families. No, Colombia is out of control and now they have the worst president they've ever had. He's a lunatic who's got a lot of problems, mental problems.
Trump also threatened to cut $14 billion in aid to Colombia, money Colombia uses to fight drug trafficking. That raises the question what this tiff between the two leaders means for the drug war. And then, of course, there are all those questions around this bombing of these boats off Venezuela. Joining us now is Stacy Zinn. She's the former head of the Montana Drug Enforcement Administration. Stacy, great to have you back. So I want to read you something that I read in a Washington Post editorial page today by Jim Garrity. Trump has managed to combine Tom Clancy's Clear and Present Danger with Dirty Harry, Miami Vice, and the Keystone Cops. As you know better than most people, fentanyl in the United States does not come from Venezuela. It comes from Mexico and China.
Yes, and that should be a clue to what this administration is currently doing. There's a reason why Venezuela and the president of Colombia have teamed up together. When you have a president of Colombia saying, "Sácalo," snap his fingers, that we need to get rid of Trump. In the Latin Mexican language, that actually is a very derogative message. So there's more underlying than just the fentanyl and the cocaine trafficking from these two countries.
Well, but that's the point. There is no fentanyl from these two countries. The fentanyl comes from Mexico. When President Trump says we're saving American lives by bombing all this fentanyl, there isn't any fentanyl coming from Venezuela.
Well, the problem is, though, China is helping Mexico cartels with the fentanyl. They're bringing that down. What we're seeing is that the cocaine being mixed with the fentanyl product and then transferred or transported across the southwest border, and then individuals don't know what they're actually using. It's a product, it's a new, what would you call it? It's a new market that the cartels / South Americans are trying to utilize. But with that being said, let's swing back. When you see that the U.S. forces are focusing on Venezuela, when you see Venezuela has gone rogue for the past 10 years, and they are actually supporting Hezbollah, and they're providing monies and training to this terrorist organization, there's more to this puzzle that we are able to see.
Yeah, there are many people who question, given the reality that the president of Venezuela is such a bad character, and, everybody in Venezuela and around the world would be better off if he weren't president of Venezuela. There are questions that perhaps the goal here by the Trump administration is regime change in Venezuela as opposed to fighting fentanyl, which, as I said, does not come from Venezuela. But I do want to ask you just about the bombings of these boats, these small speed boats off the coast of Venezuela. These drug boats are 1,000 miles from the U.S. coast. And drug experts say they almost certainly are headed with that cocaine to Trinidad, and that cocaine would then go from Trinidad to Europe, not the United States. In other words, these small, fast boats could not go 1,000 miles to the United States.
Well, with that being said, when I was based in Peru, we'd always hear it. The cocaine coming out of Colombia is going mostly to Europe. That does not matter. There's going to be a shipment of cocaine that's going to off-shift and go to the United States.
Right.
The United States just didn't give up cocaine. Cocaine is a lucrative drug that's used by the higher individuals that have more monies, but you can mix fentanyl with the cocaine. The problem is that Venezuelans making money off of this.
Absolutely. As I said, nobody is arguing that the president of Venezuela is not a bad guy and that what's going on in Venezuela is not terrible. But U.S. senators are growing increasingly unhappy that they've gotten no evidence from the administration about who's on these boats and what's on these boats. And this comes as the admiral in charge of the bombings suddenly resigned last week, reportedly because he was concerned about the legality of bombing these boats. So, you know, the senators, and not just Democratic senators, Republican senators as well, like Rand Paul, have said, who are we killing in the name of this drug war? No, somebody needs to give us that information.
Well, respectfully, I like Rand Paul. I understand what their concerns are, but it's not up to us right now to reveal what our investigation is indicating. And when I say us, the U.S. government / intelligence group, we do know that there's bad actors coming out of Venezuela. We know that we have a bad, maybe an illegitimate president that is controlling Venezuela. We know since 2005, under Hugo Chavez, they have been drug trafficking massive amounts of drugs to the United States and getting the monies back, which funds the terrorist organizations like Hezbollah and other such, maybe Hamas and other illegal groups.
Yeah,
so
I think the questions from the senators are that usually the protocol is you shoot up the engine of the boat and arrest everybody on board. You don't just, you know, bomb them and kill them without a trial. I think those are the questions.
With that being said, then give us more boots on the ground. Give us more resources. Give us more funding and stuff. We are looking at needles in a haystack right now.
Right.
And us be able to get these, we've got intelligence. Obviously, there's intelligence indicating that these are bad actors in these ships and stuff like that. If Congress would be a little bit more... Yes.
Yeah, maybe the administration will share that intelligence with members of Congress who've been now demanding this loudly for weeks now. Stacy Zinn, always great to talk to you. Thanks for everything you do to keep Americans safe from drugs. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.